This is Stuart Topham.
This is DJ Severe.
This is J.R. Robinson.
This is Mike C.
This is Rick Marotta.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
This is Nathan East.
Eric E.Q. Young.
This is Preston
This
Glass.
is Thomas McElroy.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, I'm Mark Valley.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
This is Jeff Trager, and you're listening to the Break It Down Show, Part 3.
And now, the Break It Down Show with John Leon Guerrero, Mark Valley, and Pete A. Turner.
Jeff Trager was a radio promoter. For many years, he was an independent promoter, and he broke acts the likes of Ike and Tina Turner and many, many others here in the Bay Area. So you're already cemented in Bay Area music history. Everybody knows you. Then, and go back and listen to our previous episodes with Jeff. But if you go back and listen, you'll figure out that Jeff was into all kinds of stuff, starting at the Jack Tar Hotel, which is an old San Francisco landmark that a lot of people will know, because it was pretty amazing time to be there in San Francisco. And then from there, you became roommates with Wilt Chamberlain.
Well, what I did was when Wilt went on the road,
You'd house sit for him?
Yeah, I'd house sit for him.
Yeah.
Because I lived on the same block.
Okay. So you were a house sitter for Wilt Chamberlain?
Yeah, but we'd play horse and.
Did you ever win?
No, never.
Okay. It was worth a shot.
I took him off to the right side of the basket and made a jump shot. Now, see, he never shot from the right side.
Uh-huh.
Very few people knew that. He had this fall-away jump shot from the left side.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's where I took him. And then he decided to say, all right, that's it, because he was really competitive.
Mm-hmm.
So he took me up the top of the key and ate my lunch. So to speak.
Uh-huh.
No, I mean, he just one hook shot after another.
Yeah. You really retired as a radio promoter, and you've become a live music promoter.
Yeah.
And, such has gone the way of the music business in general. I mean, a lot of guys who made livings making records in the past wouldn't be able to do that now. A lot of artists aren't able to do that now, and they give away the music. It's the flip side of that model. They're giving away the music so that they get people interested in coming to the live shows, and then they make their money doing the live shows.
Yeah, well, that's what it is now. Artists need to get out there and sell. They can sell their product at the gigs and stuff like that.
Yeah, and keep more of the money.
Keep more of the money, because when they had to sign with the label to get on the radio,
yeah,
the label got a big
the
chunk.
lion's share.
Yeah, unless you wrote the songs, I mean, that's where you make your money, is publishing and writing songs. But times have changed, I mean, to me, musically, it was more creative in those days, The groups that were coming out, there was Traffic, and there was people like that, and Jimi Hendrix, and there was
just these amazing talents who could not only making records, but they would just take your instrument from you and kick your ass on it. I mean, that was back when. You hear the stories now. Here's one thing that I heard that I think you'll like. I heard a story about Gavin DeGraw, and he was talking about when he moved to New York. And he said, I remember hearing all these people say, I moved to New York to get signed. Well, I moved to New York to get good.
Yeah.
And back then, that's what you had, was the purity of people wanted to get good. They wanted to whoop your ass on the instrument.
Oh, yeah.
And I think for a time, a segment of that spirit was lost. And we didn't have big bands that could kick your ass. We're here in Vallejo. We had Confunction. And Confunction was a band that assembled with a bunch of guys who wanted to kick your ass.
Yeah.
With their instruments, they wanted to whoop you.
Yeah.
And they wanted you to bring it. And the fact is, they would take all comers.
And
who's doing that now?
Well, they're still doing it.
Well, they're still doing it.
No,
yeah.
I mean, it's the respect that they get from the community, from people in general that know their music.
Right.
They are the Rolling Stones, the Black Rolling Stones. They just are so everybody loves him. It's very interesting because I have him next month playing at the Downtown Theater. And so I'm going into the bowels of Vallejo in Fairfield, and I'm going into little barbershops and
promoting Confunction.
And promoting and I'm also promoting going to the hair salons, and I walk in, and as soon as I go like this,
you walk in and they go, "What you doing in here, white boy?" And you open up a poster.
Well, yeah, kind of. I don't know if that, some
not
you
in a
get
bad
look.
way. Yeah, well, I'm not black either. I walk into a black barbershop anytime I want because I enjoy what goes on in the barbershops.
Yeah.
I enjoy the banter. I enjoy the talk about sports. I enjoy the debate about music and those kind of things. And yeah, I've never been looked at sideways.
It's people.
So when you walk into a place and you bust open the Confunction poster.
Yeah. I go here and I get nothing but smiles.
Yeah.
I go.
Young and old, huh?
Yeah, well, the young girls, they go, "Oh, my parents."
Yeah.
know who they are. They know who they are.
Yeah.
And the guys, the respect that they get from guys is it's amazing. And women are they're just, "Oh, I love these guys."
Okay, well, let me just say, I grew up in Vallejo, and Confunction helped me get laid. I am of the generation that says, "Man, I'm going to put on Love's Train, and that's when I'm going to make my move." And a lot of times that move paid off. So thanks, fellas. But the thing about Confunction, though, is that they still will kick ass.
Yeah.
I mean, they've enjoyed long careers, but they're healthy.
Yeah.
And Michael Cooper, he'll whoop your ass. Felton would take his trombone, and he'll knock you out.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys still are cutting heads. And they've injected some younger blood into the group. I mean, Eric Young, has also been on the show. Yeah. He'll whoop you. He'll whoop anybody on the bass. So
it's funny because I worked with them back in the early '80s when they first in the late '70s.
Oh, okay.
And we had them on our label and on Polydor, and we had
that's right.
We had the Barquets, and we had Peaches and Herb, and we had Roy Ayers before we had Cameo. We had the Gap Band.
Right.
And I broke a lot of those records by going up to Sacramento. Because they had a radio station up there that would play. They didn't want to know or hear about my Bon Jovi and John Cougar.
Right.
And Def Leppard. They said, "Give me the Brothers.
Give me some Gap Band.
Give me the Gap Band. Give me that shit. Give me the Grease." And I said,
the funky get down on the get down.
Yeah, and I said, and they were very successful because I do the same thing down in Monterey because they had a lot of black servicemen down there.
Okay.
And I go down to radio stations to Salinas, KDON, do the same thing
and break them down there.
What
records did you break in the Bay Area for Confunction?
Well, I didn't break any of their singles. I bought the Gap Band.
You dropped a bomb on me.
Yeah, dropped a bomb on me. That was a good one. Peaches and Herb.
Out
of San Francisco. I was one of the people that got it on early.
Okay.
Yeah, but those were.
What did they had Reunited?
Reunited, and they had Groove Thing.
And Groove Thing.
Yeah. Reunited was an absolute.
That was a sensation.
Home run.
Yeah.
Home run.
Well, Shake Your Groove Thing did well too. Was that not as much a?
No, it wasn't. Reunited is a love song. And, it's like Suavecito.
Yeah.
Still a young man. It was like it was one of those songs that.
Oh yeah, Reunited got him on American Bandstand and everything.
Yeah, Herb Washington was that was his second Peaches, and Herb was he was a narcotics officer in D.C.
No kidding.
Yeah, and that's what he did, and but he sang. He put together this. He had a hit.
Yeah. With
the first Peaches, and then he came out to the West Coast and
with the second Peaches. What happened to the first Peaches?
I don't know. She got old.
Okay, I see.
No, but Herb came into San Francisco with his group, and he was walking down the terminal and in San Francisco, and I knew he was a basketball fan, so I got a basketball, and I said, "Welcome to San Francisco," and he didn't know me. I thought that was him walking towards me with his band, and I rolled this basketball down about 100 so on feet, and it came to his feet, and he goes, "What the hell is this?" You know.
And he picked it up, and it said, "Welcome to San Francisco."
Welcome to San Francisco. You know.
Wow.
You just find out what they like. I broke Millie Jackson's first record.
What was that?
She had an album called "Feeling Bitchy."
Aha.
Now dig.
Yeah.
I hired an airplane, and that's when the Raiders they had Monday Night Football game.
Okay.
I had the airplane fly over the Oakland Coliseum, saying Millie Jackson's "Feeling Bitchy," and Frank Gifford on the television goes, "Who's Millie Jackson?"
On Monday Night Football.
Monday Night
the
Football.
highest rated show at the time on TV.
Yeah, and
bar none.
Yeah, and that record went. All of a sudden, people know who
Millie Jackson.
Yeah, because she was the hip thing now.
Yeah.
You know, Millie Jackson. Who's Millie Jackson? Because she was always just a black radio artist.
Yeah.
And then the next single that came out, called "If You're Not in Back in Love by Monday," was written by Merle Haggard. And it went on a bunch of top 40 stations. They never played Millie Jackson.
Yeah.
Never.
Wow.
And it was just
Frank Gifford was curious who the hell Millie Jackson was because she was feeling bitchy.
Who's Millie Jackson? and the record, Tower Records, all of a sudden they said they couldn't keep the record in the store.
Wow.
It was selling like crazy, and it just exploded. And all of a sudden, Millie Jackson's got a platinum album, double platinum. And I went down to Circle Star, and it was Ray Goodman and Brown. There was another one of those artists. And
were they on Polydor too?
Yeah, and well, they had sub-labels.
Yeah.
But Ray Goodman and Brown and I think Roy Ayers and then Millie Jackson.
That was the bill at
the
Circle Star.
Circle Star. And I go backstage. I'm the only white guy in the place. Millie Jackson sees me. She goes, "You must be Jeff Trager." And I went, and she goes, "Get in my dressing room." And I went, "Oh, man." And everybody's looking.
I want you to stop telling this story because let's leave the rest to the imagination.
No. She just gave me a big kiss.
Yeah.
Man, she had the biggest.
Well, you made her career. I mean, she had a career, but suddenly the whole country knows who she is, no matter what color you are.
Yeah. That's what it took.
Yeah, that's terrific.
Those things happen. You're saying, the Ike and Tina was the same thing.
Yeah. Hell, they were playing bowling alleys before you got a hold of them.
Yeah, all it took was that.
Yeah.
You get them on radio that doesn't usually play them. And you have to, when you work in records, if you realize that if you hit the masses, that's where it's at. Mm-hmm. Okay. Moody Blues, Nice and White Satin.
Yeah.
The record company didn't believe it was a hit because it was an album.
That's a deep cut,
big selling album. Mm-hmm. Okay, it had the London Philharmonic Orchestra behind it, and I kept telling the guys in New York that ran the company, get this on the radio. I said your sales will just explode. And when I left the label to go to Blue Thumb, they finally worked it, and it happened. It happened that way. Same thing with the biggest record. One of the biggest, if not the biggest, was the theme from Chariots of Fire. Mm-hmm. And the record company said, "We don't."
What the hell are we going to do with this?
That's exactly what they said.
Yeah.
You got a whole record company in New York, and they can't figure out that you got a movie that's attached to it.
Yeah.
Plus, it's an instrumental.
Mm-hmm.
And if the instrumental hits, then bingo. It's all about the melody anyway, Mm-hmm. And you got a movie, and you got...
and a great melody.
Great melody. And I said, look, if this movie is as big as I think it's going to be, will you release it as a single and work it? Because you got to work it. And so over the Christmas holidays, it was the #1 record.
Wow.
And then when they finally...
And Christmas the timing had something to do with it too, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Look at you open up the movie and then there it was. They were running on the beach.
Yeah.
There was the soundtrack. There was the single right there.
Yeah.
And it hit
did
you
half
right
the
away.
Work.
Right. That's just, and that was just sold 20 million albums plus, and it sold 10 million singles.
20 million albums.
20 million albums with one artist, Vangelis.
Wow.
One artist. In other words, you don't have to put a band on tour.
Right.
That made so much money that to this day I get a pension little pension
Uh-huh.
because of that record and all the records that we broke at that time.
Yeah.
You know.
All
But
right.
that was the one. That was the one where I could go to the president and say, "Look, I think it's time that you set up a pension plan for her." And he looked at me.
Little
like,
old Jeff Trager.
I get that until I go.
All right.
But it was I knew that was a hit. Anything outside of the box they don't like. People they don't have any imagination.
Well, especially now. I mean, we can see now that there's so much stuff that's out there that sounds alike. But do you see groups now, younger groups that are breaking through? I mean, what do you think of guys like Anderson .Paak or Bruno Mars? I mean, he's doing very, very well, but he's the real deal. I mean, that guy he'll pick up his guitar and cut your head off, too.
Oh, yeah. No. He's great. There's still a lot of great artists out there. You just don't hear about them as much as you used to because there were so many outlets of music in those days. There just isn't as many as there was then.
Wow.
There was underground radio and you didn't have an internet in those days, but you had mass appeal. You had really strong R&B stations.
Really strong independent R&B stations.
Oh, yeah.
Regional.
Yeah, you had adult contemporary stations like KSFO playing songs like Vince Guaraldi's Cast Your Fate to the Wind. Songs like Walking the Wild Side by Jimmy Smith got on the radio, a jazz song. And it's the same thing with Girl from Ipanema.
Yeah.
Somebody took a chance, and it became one of the most recognizable genres of music ever.
Right, because somebody took a chance.
Somebody. The flip side of Vince Guaraldi's song. I love Guaraldi. I go see him at the Matador all the time, and it's if you're given the opportunity, to get it on the radio, and in those days, K-Sam broke the theme to 2001.
Wow.
Deodato.
Huh.
It was a strange record,
Yeah, that was a strange record.
One guy played it every day for about 3 months. But I did the same thing, and Keith Jarrett had a record called The Colon Concert. A friend of mine who was a roadie for Santana called me up. He says, there's a track on the Keith Jarrett Colon Concert. It's 3 minutes long, and I think it could be a hit. So I took a box of records to KRE, and I got questioned on why I ordered a box of records. And I said, you guys can play this 3 minutes. And ECM, which was the label, never put out a single before. So I forced ECM to put out a single, and the record was sitting at 5,000 units. In other words, that's how many
it had plateaued.
And all of a sudden now, at the end of it, you're talking about 450, 500,000 albums of 2-record set.
Wow.
Okay, and that's a 2-record set, and then there was another album that he did called Brez Lucon at the same time. That was a 3-record set. And so Keith Jarrett broke out of Berkeley, out of KRE, which was, KRE, KBLX.
Wow.
It's great to, you have the opportunity. I had a thing about having ears for music,
Do you think that opportunity's coming back around now that we have the internet, now that we have so many independent artists and we have YouTube and stuff?
Absolutely.
And do you think that the taste is going to win out and be strong? Because back then, you're talking about, we had tastemakers and gatekeepers, and now there aren't those, or something can still get through the gatekeepers and the tastemakers because it's got a place to land on YouTube.
I don't know what it is about music today. Maybe it's so low, like great songwriters. I don't hear a lot of great songwriters. There's no Stevies out there anymore that I hear, maybe John Legend's pretty good. But I don't hear that. I don't hear Paul Simon. It's just different times,
Yeah.
I don't hear Neil Young. I mean, different. I don't hear Leonard Cohen. But see, I've listened to a lot of music for a long, long time. I can't listen to radio anymore.
Okay.
For radio.
Yeah.
I just can't. It just
Kills
bores
you.
me.
Yeah. It's homogenized.
That's me. That's all. But I listen to it, and I don't hear a lot of creativity.
Yeah, it's no variety.
Once in a while.
Yeah.
Just don't hear what I used to hear.
Yeah.
I don't hear no Jackie Wilsons anymore or Ray Charles, and I don't know. Music changes.
Sure.
That's all.
Sure. So now in the live end of the business, you seem to be enjoying that. You seem to be getting your variety.
That's what I want to do. I want to put on music for everybody.
So you got Confunction coming up.
Yeah, I just did.
At the Downtown Theater, which I'll go on record and say that's the best music venue in the North Bay, hands down.
Yeah.
There isn't a better room. And look, I live down the street from the Empress, and the Empress is great, and I want everybody to support the Empress. But pound for pound, I'll take a seat at the Downtown Theater anytime, because every seat in that venue is terrific.
Yeah.
Every seat in that venue sounds great. Every seat in that venue looks right at the artist. Those seats on the side where you like to sit,
Yeah.
great seats.
I don't know.
The ones up in the balcony, there is not a bad balcony seat.
No, I'm having a time of my life.
Yeah.
You know, at this stage of my life, I love it. I mean, I don't know what else to do. You know, no, seriously. I still play a little golf, and I just get up in the morning. And I go into stores and put up posters, and I go to different venues. I go to venues all over the place to listen to music and enjoy it and meet people, because I'd like to, network and find out what people like. And I ask a lot of people, who do you want me to bring in? Mm-hmm. I'm saying, how about if I brought in Ohio players or Angie Stone or something? Oh my God. And you find what people want to hear.
Sure.
I like doing oldies soul shows.
Yeah.
A lot because of the songs.
Yeah, the songs are timeless.
The songs are timeless.
What artists do you have coming? I mean, who are you looking forward to? Let's compare notes, because we have some artists that I'm working on. Some of them even know that I'm working on them. But let's compare notes as to who you got coming, and who I might ask you if I can poach, honestly, and then who I've got coming, who may find a weekend at the Downtown Theater in Fairfield to be something that they'd want to do.
Well, next year I'm bringing back Lenny Williams.
Oh, Lenny Williams.
Yeah.
Well, you're right in Lenny Williams' backyard anyway.
Lenny Williams is in a lot of people's backyard. Lenny Williams, yeah. I love Lenny. I think he's a thread to the past, I mean, he was with Tower Power.
Yeah.
Had most of their hits, He followed Rick Stevens.
Yeah.
Who I knew before Rick went off to the Betty Ford Center, as he calls it. Rick came out and I was managing him, and unfortunately Rick just passed away.
Yeah.
But Lenny gives him credit for that song, for You're Still a Young Man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just...
Well, I will say this about Rick. I'm happy that he got to come out of the Betty Ford Center, as you put it. He did, for most of our listeners know all about Rick Stevens, but he did 37 years in prison.
Yeah. And he came out to 5 years of standing ovations.
Yeah.
Okay. And that every time he did a show that I saw, that's what he got.
That's what he got.
And that's what made it for him. And when he found out he was dying, I guess he just, if he couldn't go back on stage anymore, that was the curtain call for him.
Well, I'll tell you, I have a great regret because I didn't know that he was sick. But you gave me his number, and I called him, and we talked. And we talked about doing the show, and he was kind of hesitant. He just, he enjoyed the standing ovations. But other than that, he wasn't a glory seeker. But, I promised him that I would treat him as respectfully as I did on the phone. The show wasn't going to be any different.
Yeah.
And we said, okay. He said, okay, let's do it sometime. And that sometime, he passed on before we got to that sometime. And I really, really regret that.
I miss him a lot.
Yeah.
I really miss him. And the fact that the night that he came and played at Bimbo's for our autism awareness show, Voice Latin Rock, he walked out on stage, and I'm telling you,
the place went
I
bananas.
know he got chills.
Yeah.
Because that was his crowd. And he walked out there, and just the look on his face. You could look it up on YouTube, and you can see it. He was home.
Well, in case our listeners out there don't know the story of Rick Stevens, he Well, he was the lead singer for Tower of Power when they made it.
Yes.
And they debuted and they came out swinging.
Yeah.
He sang "You're Still a Young Man," which is a song that's legendary.
And before that, he sang "Sparkling in the Sand" with another singer who was, I think his name was Marcus Miller, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
That was a legend. That was an iconic song, but
Yeah.
it wasn't a hit. But
Yeah, still historic song. But he was involved in a drug deal that went bad, and he ended up killing somebody. Killing three somebody.
2 or 3
Yeah.
people. They were drug dealers, but it makes no difference. He regrets it.
Yeah. Well, and then he got the death penalty.
Jerry Brown was the governor.
And Jerry Brown was the governor, and Jerry Brown
Pardoned him.
did he? It was a pardon of Rick Stevens.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was an attorney, and they finally, after 17 years of Woody Cook going before the board, they said, Rick, if you lead an exemplary life in here and help other people, there was a judge that helped him and said, I will do everything I can, and he did. And at the end, he wrote a nice letter, and Jerry Brown pardoned him. I mean, that's really ironic. And then he came out to this whole different world. He couldn't. I tried to get him into Europe. I tried to get him perform in Europe. He didn't want to fly.
Yeah.
It was kind of a shame. So, and then he couldn't go anywhere past 50 miles. So, it was. But I got him in Fairfield. With Lydia Pence in Cold Blood.
That show was amazing.
Yeah, I put those two together.
And he did a spectacular performance.
Yeah.
And you're right. Another standing ovation. I mean, he came out to 5 years of standing ovations.
He had that. That was a signature song, just like Richard Bean and Suavecito.
Yeah.
And there's certain songs that are your baby. It's like, and Rick had that song. It was perfect for that era. And years later, you go, oh wow. I remember, Sly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of songs that Sly did that you go,
wow,
that was Sly.
Yep. Well, okay. So I'm happy to have had Sly on the show, and I regret that I never really committed to nailing down Rick and saying, let's do this. Let's turn the microphones on, because he had a great story of redemption, and turns out he retained his ability to take a crowd in the palm of his hand and really give it to him.
He gave him everything he had.
Yeah.
He spent all those years in. When he came out, he always had him. And his uncle was Ivory Joe Hunter. Since I left you,
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Oh.
And he'd always talk about that, and Rick, like I said, when Rick couldn't perform because he had a bad knee and a bad hip, and then he got liver cancer, which was, it's just that when he couldn't go back on stage, that was it,
Wow.
But I was lucky to get that. I just did James Garner and his tribute to Johnny Cash. And
yeah, it was a great show.
That was a good one. And I'm bringing back the Sun Kings, which are, to me, the best Beatles tribute band out there. I got the Unauthorized Rolling Stones. I got comedy there. I got a couple comedies.
The last show that I went to that you did that was comedy up there was Rocky Laporte.
He's great.
That guy is
hilarious. Hey,
that guy is hilarious.
Pony. So I'm just, I did a tribute to Sergio Mendes in Brazil '66, which is, I like dipping back into some of that stuff. I want to try to get Herb Alpert and his wife Lonnie Hall from Brazil '66 up there, and Steve Terrell.
That'd be spectacular.
Tasty stuff.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of tasty stuff, how about Taste of Honey? They're still around.
Taste
Are they
of Honey?
not?
I know the song Taste. No, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. They had that. Oh man, what is her name? She's a fantastic bass player, and she plays bass and sings. And they're still out, I think, doing county fairs and stuff. So let me shift gears though.
Yeah.
Here's who I'm after, because I regret not being more aggressive about putting a microphone in front of Rick Stevens. I have a renewed passion for capturing these artists before, I hate to speak morbidly, but before it's too late. And while we're still in a place where they can tell these great stories that I want to capture for posterity.
Sure.
I'm going to hunt down Jeffrey Osborne.
Yeah.
What do you think he'd be like at the Downtown Theater? Is that the right venue for him?
Yeah.
Okay. How about Howard Hewitt?
Yeah.
There is
Frankie Beverly.
Frankie Beverly.
Frankie Beverly.
How many seats are at the Fairfield Downtown Theater?
366.
Everybody listen to this. 366 seats. How'd you like to see Jeffrey Osborne with 365 other people in a venue that sounds spectacular, where you are practically right in his face and he's singing dead at you? I swear, no matter what seat you're sitting in, you're going to leave that place thinking, oh no, when he came out of the bridge, he was singing right to me. And so 366 people. That's, let's say, I'm going to speak to the men. Men, 366 seats at a Jeffrey Osborne show. That means 183 dudes are getting laid.
I got laid to Pat Boone.
Yeah.
Or the Beach Boys. I don't listen that good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a
we
big
might just end the show on that.
No,
note.
that's a big difference.
Yeah. So let's see. Who else?
Maybe
Jeffrey
it was
Osborne.
Booker T. Maybe it was Green Onions.
Is Booker T still around?
Yeah. Man, Booker T's around.
Please get Booker T. How do you make it worth it to
Bill Withers.
Oh, Bill Withers.
Bill Withers is not
Yeah.
doing too good. But come on, that's the stuff that everybody's gotta listen to.
Well, you can go to the new generation that harkens back to guys like that. You can get someone like Alan Stone in there. That'd be a great venue for Alan Stone.
Yeah.
That'd be a great venue for, I don't know, who else are you looking at?
Well, there's some women. I'd like to bring the Ohio players. I'm working on them.
Yeah. What makes it worth it to the Ohio players to come and play a 360-seater, though?
2 shows, give them enough money.
Yeah, 2 shows.
That's what
Set
I'm
up
doing.
once, play 2 shows.
That's what I'm doing. Confunction.
Uh-huh.
How
about the Daz Band?
Oh, yeah.
That's the hardest working band in show business, man. Those guys work hard. They show up. They set up their own. They set up their own light show. I mean, the guys in the band physically set up the light show.
Larry Graham.
Okay, Larry Graham.
Yeah.
Why not?
I think that the Family Stone, they got a guy in there I hear that does slide. It's like pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say close because there's nobody close.
There's nobody close.
Nobody's close to Sly when he was in his prime. It's all about the songs, the great songs.
Yeah.
I remember Greg Arrico, the drummer, original drummer for Sly, and we did a fundraiser for Crystal Middle School, and we had the school band.
Uh-huh.
And Greg got out there
and played with the school band.
with the school band.
Did they have any idea what was going on?
No, they have no idea. These are middle school kids.
Yeah.
But he got them to do Everyday People, where he brought all the kids out and sang, and they learned the song.
All right.
And I sat there and I went, listen to this. I mean, this song meant so much to our generation of people. As you get the words, listen to the words. That was the greatness of a Sly. I mean, to hear those kids, maybe not knowing, but boy, what it meant, it was, we're everyday people.
Yeah. I want to say this on my podcast. Greg Arrico, if you are listening, you, sir, are my hero, and I would love to have you on this show.
I'll see what I can do because...
Yeah, please, Jeff. Please get Greg Arrico, because his playing helped me make sense of music.
Yeah.
And then once I made sense of music and understand what it was that I liked, and once I developed what I think is an ear for what is good, then I found Betty Davis.
I remember that.
Greg Arrico.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. So, just when I thought I loved Greg Arrico because he was an amazing drummer, then he produced the Betty Davis records and blew my mind. And Betty Davis, You nasty thing. I love Betty Davis too, man.
Well, he could tell you those stories.
Oh,
Yeah,
please,
he could tell you
Greg,
stories.
please come on the Break It Down show and tell me those stories.
I tell you, I'd like to bring, and you're going to think I'm crazy. I'd like to bring in Barry Gibb. He's the only one left.
Yeah.
But, he's out there now doing
He's
shows.
the only one left from an entertainment dynasty.
Yeah.
Not only the Bee Gees, but Andy Gibb, who went far too young.
Yeah.
I mean, that family was so loaded down with talent.
Yeah.
They are like the Jacksons in that you could take the least known Jackson.
LaToya?
Sure. You could take LaToya and LaToya, let's say of the boys, you could take Marlon and stick him in any other band, and he'd be the most amazing thing in that band. If you put Marlon Jackson in, pick a band, LTD, and stuck him in LTD, or if you stuck him in the Commodores, or if you... He'd be amazing. He'd be the superstar of that band. Same thing with if you took Robin Gibb and stuck him in any other band but the Bee Gees, he'd be the amazing star of that band. Except that he was in the Bee Gees.
No, but he was in the Bee. They had two careers.
Yeah.
Before Saturday Night Fever,
Mm-hmm.
they had a lot of hits before.
Sure.
Before that, and then
They had a TV show in Australia.
Did they?
Yeah.
Well, when that movie hit, they came into San Francisco to promote, and we were playing the Oakland Coliseum.
Yeah.
And it was Christmas time, and I asked Barry Gibb if he'd go up to Children's Hospital on Potrero in San Francisco.
Uh-huh.
And he said, "Sure, mate." And I went, "Oh, this is going to be good."
Yeah.
And he goes up there, and the Bee Gees go up, and they sang Christmas carols to the sickest of sick kids.
Wow.
And the nurses were crying, and the doctors were blown. I mean, it was, and some of the kids didn't know who they were, and they were screaming, "Who are you guys?" It was so beautiful listening to. That's one of the great moments of my life, is being able to be involved, be there and watch. I was crying.
Some of these amazing things.
Oh, it was really special.
Yeah.
Because those kids. Even though they didn't know who it was, I mean, God, the music that came in, that was there. I mean, it was just those guys really were phenomenal. And there's just one left.
Yeah.
Just too bad. Those are.
And it's Barry. He's the oldest one too, isn't he?
Yeah, Barry was the oldest one. He
Wow.
was the one he recorded with Streisand too. And
Yeah.
He had to, be able to do that. I had a friend, Mickey Newberry, the great singer-songwriter, just dropped in to see what my condition was in, and he wrote American Trilogy, put together for Presley, and he had 4 or 5 major hits. And he was considered at one time the greatest writer to come out of Nashville. And guys like Willie Nelson said, and Christopherson and Prine, John Prine said he's the best writer I ever heard. So that's where Newberry and I happened to break his single, the American Trilogy that Presley did, closed all his shows. And Mickey would come down and play for me. And he played at the Jewish synagogue, and he brought Jack Elliott, Ramblin' Jack Elliott, and it was something really special, because Mickey was one of those guys that nobody ever saw or heard. He was like legendary, and
stayed behind the scenes.
Stay behind the scenes. I mean, Waylon wrote songs about him. Luckin' Back, Texas, I think the name was. It was Cass's Train.
Wrote songs about him writing
Mickey
songs.
Mickey wrote train songs. Christopherson used to live on his houseboat with him. Mickey wrote like Leonard Cohen. I mean, you got to listen to some of the stuff that Mickey Newberry does. You blow your mind.
He created what essentially we know now as the signature country music song. The way that the song is constructed, the way that it pulls your heartstrings just long enough. It's almost like there's a country music formula that is similar to three guys walk into a bar. You know, when a joke starts off with three guys walk into a bar, you've got certain timing elements about the joke that make the joke work. It pulls you just enough in one direction and then pow, hits you with the punchline from the other direction. And that's what makes it funny. And what Mickey Newberry did for the country song was pretty similar in that he took you on a ride and he was able to cradle certain human emotions that brought you great suspense and great satisfaction.
Right.
You know, sadness, redemption. He knew just the right amounts to give you. And now we have a whole lyric poem style that's based on the way that he worked.
He was like the Stephen Foster of songwriting in those days.
Yeah.
And
are you talking about Stephen Foster or David Foster?
Stephen Foster.
Who's Stephen Foster?
He was legendary. But they would say Mickey was the Stephen Foster of songwriters, you know. He's the one who discovered me and Bobby McGee.
Okay.
Because Christopherson was...
I had no idea, by the way, before that James Garner show, that me and Bobby McGee was done first.
It was done because Mickey took it to Roger Miller.
Okay.
And Roger Miller stole the song and took it back to Nashville and cut it before Christopherson did, which was Janus.
Okay.
You know. And Mickey was something else, boy. I'm telling you. Yeah, you got to listen to it. I mean, some of his lyrics, you go, my God, how did anybody think of putting words like that to music? You know, it's just like, why she even woke me up to say goodbye. I mean, that's a great line. Winters and labors.
So many great lines.
Winters and labors, soon to give birth to the spring. You know, I mean, he did a song called San Francisco Maple Joy that I would cry sometimes because it was so beautiful and so, you know, everybody did it. You know, people like Ray Charles. I'll tell you, Roy Orbison did his stuff. You know, B.B. King did his stuff.
Yeah. You could see B.B. King doing that stuff, though, because not only was it lyrical, it was also clever.
Yeah.
And B.B. King songs are always clever.
Yeah. Newberry, when I moved up to Green Valley, Mickey was dying of emphysema, and he would call me from his bed, and he'd sing new lyrics that he put together. And I'd be walking through the field, and I'd be talking to him, and, you know, hey, GL, you know, how about this one? Willie likes it. And I'm listening, and I'm going, my God, it's Mickey Newberry asking me what I think. You know, what?
And he kept at it all the way to the end.
Oh, my God, yeah. Yeah. I mean, he would come down when people were retiring, and he'd show up, and, you know, he'd say, Jeff, you know, what can I do for you? Because I broke his record and made him a lot of money. But he was just a great old guy, and we used to play golf together, and he's an amazing songwriter. Amazing song. I mean, it's such to be able to meet people and have these guys as my friends. You know, I go back to Wilt and people like that. I mean, come on.
Yeah, what an amazing life.
Yeah. Jesus.
Well, you know, you're not done. You got plenty of work to do, and you got plenty of entertaining to corral us for. I don't want to end on the note of, Jeff, you've had a great life, because you got so much more. So let me ask you this. You know what we do on this show. You know what is meaningful to me on this show, and to me and to Pete and to Mark, that we capture these stories for posterity and that we give them the proper light that maybe some of these stories haven't had in a few years, and before they fade away, we want to get them. Who should do this show? Who should I bring to the mic?
Oh, boy.
I'm going to call Lenny. I promise you that.
Lenny would be a good one. No, Lenny would be a good one. How about Billy Joel or something?
How about? No. Well, I'd love to get Billy Joel, but he's not quite as accessible.
No, I know.
I have had promise though from Liberty DeVito that he's going to do the show, so I'll say that out loud because I'm visualizing it. It's going to happen. We're going to have Liberty DeVito on the show. Who else?
Jesus.
And part of this is not just who should be on the show, but who are you going to help me get?
I know. Gene Simmons.
Oh, yes. Gene Simmons would be amazing.
If I was gonna get anybody,
Uh-huh.
and everybody go, what? Gene Simmons? No, Gene Simmons was one of the nicest. Outside of Mickey,
Okay.
Mickey would stay up all night and play to my friends. I'd have 30, 40 of my friends, from Santana and Sly, and they'd be in my living room listening to Mickey Newberry. But Gene Simmons, was brilliant. What he did with Kiss, and
Yeah, he had some amazing foresight.
Great.
And he was,
great marketing guy.
yeah, manipulator of culture.
Yeah, what he did with that tongue.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
No, but he was.
manipulator of culture and Shannon Tweed.
Well, I forget that.
Yeah.
His family was part of the Holocaust, and when I first met him, he was all he wanted to talk about was the Anne Frank
Yeah.
museum that he had just visited. He's a sharp,
He's a sharp guy. Speaks 5 languages. English is not his first language.
Yeah.
His first language is Hebrew.
Yeah. Well, he was born.
Yeah.
What impressed me was before each show he would invite some contest winners to come back, and he'd sign their autographs, but he would talk to them like they were friends, and what do you do, and this and that, and it was genuine.
Yeah.
It was genuine. His guy, he's one of those guys that gets it. I met so many guys in the music business that
Don't get it.
have a clue.
Wow.
And this guy he's very curious too. He was like Wilt, he's just like, he wanted to know this and he wanted to know that and he wanted to meet people and
He's trying to milk life for all it can give him.
Oh, that guy, yeah, he's doing doing a pretty good job. He's opened up a restaurant, I hear, with Paul Stanley up in
Vacaville. Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah. Anyway,
maybe one of them will come on the show to promote the restaurant.
Well, I'll see what I can do about Simmons.
Yeah, that would blow my mind.
Kim Simmons, I get you Kim Simmons from Savoy Brown.
Okay. Who else? Who else can I hold you to? Who else in your Rolodex can we get, man?
Rolodex.
I really want to get Gregorico though. Who else? How about Johnny Cola?
Johnny Cola, yeah, Johnny Cola be doing. Because he played with Sly.
Well, he gave us a clip for our Sly Stone episode.
Yeah,
back in 100 episodes, almost 100 episodes ago. Our 100th episode was Sly, and he was gracious enough to give us a little story for the episode, which we appreciate. But we keep trying to nail him down because we've had Marvin McFadden on the show, who plays with Huey Lewis and the News as well.
I heard your Sly interview though, and I loved it. I just thought he had enough in there. It was great to hear some of his recollections.
Yeah.
Because he's been so through. He had so many demons.
Yeah.
And
well, we didn't want to do a show about the demons.
No. That's what was very. But it's just there's so much there. He was such a genius. He was such brilliant. How many guys are like Sly out there?
None.
I mean, he could take you on a in his own words, in his own way, down that. A road that very few people have traveled.
Yeah, very few people.
If you ever want to see something really cool, and sad at the same time as when he did his interview with Mike Douglas and Ali.
Yeah,
and it was.
You can see that on YouTube.
Yeah,
that was very interesting.
Or watch the footage from the Ed Sullivan Show, and that'll show you just what Sly created in America at that time. He just broke all the rules.
All the rules,
and people were going, "What the hell is this?" And he was,
didn't care.
Besides musically, man, he'd get up and he got out there and dance in the
aisles.
On the aisles, and I'm watching mostly white audience. It's like
freaking out, wondering what the hell's going on.
Nobody's smiling. I'm going. They never seen nothing like that.
Yeah.
It was a man that was African American man expressing his love for life and the way that he wanted to live it.
Yep.
You know, you can't
Nothing
beat
in
that.
his way.
No.
Yeah, it was amazing to get to spend some time with him to do that show. Okay. Well,
Yeah. I'll think of somebody.
we have plenty more to do. So
Okay.
next up, Confunction at the Downtown Theater in Fairfield.
Yeah.
What else is close by?
That's
in
the
hopper?
11th. The 11th of November.
Wow, that's coming up fast.
2 shows, 6 and 9,
Oh man,
and then
that's a Saturday night.
of course, and then that's when I do my shows, and
Yeah.
then the 9th of December, Carlos Reyes and Friends with Tony Lindsay,
All right.
11-time Grammy Award winner, and Claire D and Janice Maxey Reed, and they're going to do a Soul Christmas.
Okay, but we'll start with everybody go see Confunction on November 11th, Saturday night at the Downtown Theater in Fairfield. If you've seen Confunction, you know those guys kick ass. If you haven't, go experience them kicking ass because they kick ass.
Yeah.
The old vets, Michael Cooper, Felton Pilot, Cedric Martin, those guys are terrific.
Yeah.
The young bloods in the show. Eric E.Q. Young, he's a veteran of the Break It Down
Ronnie
show.
Motown.
Ronnie Motown. You got Brian Collier.
Brian
Brian
Collier.
Collier's a bad boy.
Yeah. He did many of our shows at the Voice of Latin Rock.
Yeah.
Just a terrific guy.
Amazing
No, this
drummer.
is gonna be one show that I'm like to find me a Confunction every month.
Wouldn't we all?
All right.
Okay, go see Confunction, everybody. And thank you, Jeff Trager.
No, thank you, John. Thank you for everything you do, and I really appreciate it. And thank you for the fried chicken.
All right, man. We'll see you soon.
All right.